Good morning. I'm just getting my laptop to wake up and welcome in. I think it might be quite a bright day today when the sun sort of finishes peeping through. It's looking clearish sky out there. We shall see what the day brings, but for whatever the bright day brings out there, welcome in here. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and Monday morning I try my very best to come in and do a Facebook Live for you where we think about our product of the week. Now, before we go on to our product of the week, I've just been looking at my diary and my schedule and my to-do for this week, and it's quite a mad old week this week, partially run up to Christmas, partially things that are going on here in the UK. So I think possibly the next time I'm going to get to come on live this week is possibly going to be, hi Megan, is possibly going to be Friday evening. Every Christmas I meet up with a little group from a local nursery school that come into our church, and we do a little bit of a nativity story for the littlies, which is always great fun. So I've got one session with them on Tuesday afternoon and another on Wednesday morning. So that's going to knock out my Wednesday morning Facebook Live. But then looking at what's going on, I don't think there's another place I could possibly squeeze that in, because of course here in the UK on Thursday is election day here, and I always go along and work at one of the polling stations all day. Hi Glenda, no, you're watching live, Glenda. I'm going out live. So Thursday I shall be in a polling station all day, and I think it would be frowned on a great deal if I stopped what I was doing, stopped issuing votes, and did a Facebook Live. So we can, I think, safely say that Thursday I'm not going to be going live, but what I will try and do is go live on Friday tea time instead. Yes, lots of madness going on this week, and not necessarily to do with my Stampin' Up things, although I have got 2 classes on Wednesday. So I've got a class Wednesday afternoon, which is our little gift box of thank you cards, which is a traditional class that we tend to do at this time of the year. So something that you can either keep for yourself to send out your thank you cards, or you can have it as a last minute gift to somebody. So that's our class. We always have voting days during the week, Megan. It nearly always is a Thursday. There was some rumours that it might not have been a Thursday this time, which would have been like, but it's always a Thursday. So it's always a Thursday. Quite often, I'm fine, thank you, Glenda. Yeah, it's nearly always a Thursday. So there's schools and things that do have to close because the schools are being used as polling stations and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's always on a weekday. So I shall be manning my post at a polling station from 6:30 on Thursday morning, and by the time I leave there it'll be about 10:30 at night, and then I shall have to deliver my ballot box before coming home. So a very long day on Thursday, so there really isn't any point on Thursday at which I can come in live to you. So yeah, all good fun, but they pay me for doing it, so that all helps, doesn't it? Particularly but it'll be probably post-Christmas before the pay comes in, but that helps to boost the coffers after Christmas. So yes, so a busy old week, but let's think about today. Let's think about what we're going to be looking at today. And I thought what we would do today, because I'm very aware that everybody has probably finished Christmas cards and those sorts of things. So for the next few weeks, you would think they'd do it on a Saturday, wouldn't you? But no, it's always been done midweek. It's one of those things, isn't it? But that's the way we've always done it. Change, you can't possibly change. So yes, so what we're going to be looking at this week, we're going to be looking at this basic pattern decorative mask. So I thought we would look at a few sort of different things and perhaps go on to some these are still in the autumn winter catalogue, but we'll flick back to some of the things that are in the annual catalogue as well in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to have a little look at these masks. Now, normally on a Monday morning I would case something from the catalogue. But looking at the things that they used sort of alongside the masks in the catalogue, although they're very lovely. Look, that's embossing paste with that mask just there. I don't have that stamp set, so that was sort of like I'd have to really tweak that. And this one obviously is a Christmas one, and my thinking was that we would perhaps not do Christmassy things today, that one didn't quite fit either. So we're going to go with a little bit of a by the seat of our pants, let's have a bit of a play with some of these masks this morning when we come to do our little project. So that's always good fun, isn't it? Always nice to be going on the hoof. So let me just pop that to one side. So these little masks are so useful, and they're such a good little price point. So they're £5.50 here in the UK for the 4 masks, and they're a good little plastic mask, so that you can wash them under the sink, get them in the bowl and give them a good rub. If you're using things like embossing paste, you want to clean them up as soon as you can after you've used them, because if that embossing paste hardens on them, then it really is hard to chip off. But don't worry if they start to get a little bit stained and things. I never worry about things like that. That's absolutely fine as long as they're all still functioning. So they are really good, and they're fabulous for backgrounds, just adding a little bit of hint of something in the background. This tree one is fabulous. Let's pop it back down here. Got this lovely little set of trees, and these masks are carrying over. I'm sure I'm right in saying that. I have marked my catalogue. Yes, they are. So they are all carrying over. You've got this lovely sort of almost paisley type print on this one, this sort of geometrical pattern on that one, and the dots. The dots are really useful. And this is the second set of masks that we've got. We've got another set of masks that was in the annual catalogue with the clouds and things in, and that is also equally useful. So they're really fabulous, and you can of course spritz through them, sponge through them, use them with embossing paste. You can run them through your Big Shot and use them as sort of like an embossing folder, get an embossed image with them. So lots of things that you can do with these handy little folders. Hi Chrissy. So we're going to use this one just here this morning. So let's pick up these other 3 and just put them to one side. We'll use some of the others on Friday. As I say, it'll be Friday. 160 plus. Ooh, yes. Yes, that's what I was thinking, that people probably are going to be a little bit over Christmas cards at the moment. They're a bit like, oh no, not more Christmas cards. We're done with Christmas cards. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of tape on here. Now I have trimmed this piece of card. In fact, I'm going to take this paper out, and I am going to do this on my glass mat underneath, because I'm sponging, and if ever I'm sponging, I always think you're better off on either one of the special sort of plasticky mats you can get, or a glass mat, just because it helps the ink to move around a little bit. And I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on the edge of that. I've trimmed this card to 14.4 by 10, but the chances are I'm going to trim it again, so I'm not worried about the fact that that tape is going to be sticking over the edge. And then we're going to get our mask and lay that over the top. So I'm just looking at the pattern either side, but I think that's about right. Let's just anchor that down as well. Ooh! I wonder what music that was. I've not set any music up to come on, so that's very exciting. I didn't know I got musical accomplishment. Right, let me have a quick slurp of water. Now this is really off the hoof. I was busy having a creating day yesterday. I was rock music. Very bizarre. I was busy creating some projects for the classes that are coming up this week. Yesterday I was having a creative evening, so I've just grabbed some colours that were on the side here, and I've gone with Daffodil Delight, Coastal Cabana and some Highland Heather. And I've got some cardstock in that colour as well. It really is on the hoof today. So let me think, what colour shall we go with first? I think we'll go with some Highland Heather. And I've got my little sponge, my Highland Heather sponge. So with my sponges, I cut them up into 8, so you get a big round sponge. I cut them up into 8, and I've just punched out a little bit of cardstock with the name of the colour on. And I've got a bit of sponge for every colour, and I keep them in our boxes like this. So the bigger boxes, it's got a sponge and a dauber for each colour in each colour family. And they're standing on my side, so got some brights and some subtles here. So let's start with some Highland Heather, and I'm just going to sponge through my mask. On a bit of an angle, and obviously the more colour I add, the darker it will be. And I'm sort of going across the corner. Like that. Let's pop the lid on that. I think we'll go yellow next, because I think the yellow will blend better into the other two colours. And let's then add in some Daffodil Delight across this central bit. That one is a stronger colour anyway. And then, last but not least, let's take some Coastal Cabana. We couldn't get any less Christmassy colours if we tried, really, could we? I have to confess that this year, despite the fact that, you know, over the months I've made loads and loads of Christmas cards and I've done Christmassy classes and all sorts of things, I really am struggling to get into the idea that Christmas is just around the corner. I'm sure I will get there eventually. Right, this is the moment of reveal. Let us see what we've got when we take this mask off. I feel like we need a drum roll. Perhaps we need that loud music now, Angie, as we do our reveal. Ooh, how pretty is that? So let's just peel off this tape here. That's pretty, isn't it? Right, let's have a little play with some colour and decide what we want in terms of I think we'll do that. I think we'll have a Highland Heather card base. So let's bring in our trimmer. It would obviously work with any colours, any of these colours really. You could heat embossing, do love a bit of heat embossing. Never quite get over the magic of heat embossing. It was the thing that got me into card making in the first place, so never quite lost my love of heat embossing. Right, so we've got a Highland Heather card base, so that's a standard card base, A4 cut in half, and then that's scored in half, and then we will cut a mat to go on the top. So I'm going to cut this at 14.4, and we'll swing it round and cut it at 10 centimetres. And then our little card front that we've done here, that's currently at 10 centimetres. I'm going to take a slither off that side and then a slither off this side to make that 9.5, just because then that will lose those places where that tape was. And then I think we'll take the extra off the top, because I think there's more purple at the top than there is green at the bottom. So like that. There we go. So there's our card building quite nicely. So now we want a little bit of something on the top. And I'm looking round because somewhere it's behind me. It's behind you. I was thinking we would perhaps use this stitched label on there. I think we'll cut it in white and then we might go in with some sponging. Let's have a look. So let's grab the big shot and cut one of these labels. Pop that out just there. And round here, let me get my pokey tool out. Let's do this properly. Oh, there we go. So it definitely needs something to enable it to pop from that background. So let's go back to our Coastal Cabana and our Coastal Cabana sponge. Put that on the end and then starting off on the mat and just bringing it in with little tickly motions all the way around. And this is where a glass mat or a plastic mat underneath works better than your paper, because your paper soaks up your ink, whereas with these mats the ink sits on top, so it moves around a bit more freely. That's pretty. That's better. That's going to pop out from the background now. Just give that a bit of a wipe off, get rid of any of that excess ink that's sitting on the top there. And then we're going to stamp a greeting. Move my big shot back out of the way. So many bits and pieces around me where I was doing things till quite late last night and didn't put them away before going to bed. Right, so we've got from the Stitched All Around stamp set, I've got this Enjoy Your Special Day that we're going to put in there. And I think we'll go back to the Highland Heather for that. Oops, sorry, knocking the phone, making you wobble. It's a really pretty label, isn't it? Yeah, it's a nice little set actually. There's some, yeah, you do get quite a few. You've got this long label, this stitch circle. It gives you like the holes around the outside. In fact, this is one of the ones I think where I did somewhere along the line, yes, cut them out. So then you've got this stitch circle here, you've got this which sort of looks a bit like a plaster, stitched down these edges, and this one is stitched along that bottom edge, so sort of like labels on jeans and bags and things, really useful for that sort of thing. Just a little stitch circle. You've got this pretty one here, and if we flip it over you can see we've got these dies that give you a sort of embossed image in your cardstock, and you've got a little set of cross stitching and just a normal little line of stitching, so a really useful little set of labels. And obviously the dies then, stamps then go with it. Oh darling, you are fabulous. We could have had that one, couldn't we? So let's stamp up this, ink up this stamp. It's nice to go back and remember what you've got up, isn't it? And this one wasn't even one that was issued this last year. This was a carryover one. So we can forget what we've got sitting around, can't we? There we go. So I did grab some ribbon out. Got this tricolour ribbon here that would pick up the Highland Heather. Yeah, I think perhaps that one. Just have a bit of a swoosh across the background there. Excellent. Right, let's start putting this card together. So not a particularly complicated card. We've let the mask do the bulk of the work, so it just goes to show that these masks, they're really fabulous just for sitting in the background, can also be quite a focal image in themselves. I'm ready for my breakfast this morning. It's funny, isn't it, how some days you just feel hungrier than others. Let's put a couple of strips of double-sided tape down the back there, just so that that allows us to... the ribbon is called, I think it is tricolour ribbon. There we go, it's the tricolour ribbon. It's pretty, isn't it? So it's sort of, I think it sort of is labelled as almost Gorgeous Grape, but then you've got that Highland Heather stripe in the middle there, and almost a purple posy stripe in the bottom. So really useful for those sorts of colours. My other option was I'd got out the striped Bermuda Bay, because although it's Bermuda Bay, that sort of middle stripe does tend to almost pick up that Coastal Cabana, but I think the purple one, that tricolour ribbon, is a better option. So I'm just going to take the backs off that double-sided tape to now enable me to lay this ribbon. I wasn't going to do it that way, let's do it that way. Just lay this ribbon across the back here. Like that. There's my snips gone. There they are. Put them away. How are you ever supposed to find things if you put them away, for goodness sake? Right, there we go. Of course we could have gone this way. We could be totally different and have it, looks almost like a little fish that way. But I think we're going to stick with this way and get some dimensionals. Oh, purple is a favourite for quite a few people, isn't it? I know quite a few purple fans. let's have that on there. Now I'm just wondering whether, digging about in my box of stamping blends and getting out a few rhinestones. Let's just, we haven't had anything else that we've brought in that's yellow in this, so let's just colour up a couple of those. Let's see if the other side is perhaps a bit better. Just add a bit of a yellow tint to some of these rhinestones, which of course you can do with your stamping blends. There we are, we've turned them yellow. And so I've had my pokey tool. What have I done with it? Let's get this magic wand, as somebody kept referring to it when we were on stage, which I think is fabulous, because it is such a magic wand, because there's not much you can't do with this. Let's just put some of those yellow rhinestones scattered about on there to bring in a bit more yellow. There we go. So enjoy your special day. So that was a really good way of using that mask. So what I will do with my mask now, I can't really see very much on there, but I will just go and I will just run it under the tap. Hi Mags. I will go and pop this under the tap in the bowl, wash off any excess ink that's on the top, because what you don't want to do is risk there being ink on the top, then go in to do something like this with perhaps, I don't know, blues and pinks, and suddenly find you've got green and yellow mixed in because you haven't washed your mask. So yeah, wash that just under the tap, let it dry, good to go again. They're really, really useful. So masks, that's our product of the week. There's our card for this morning, and we've got these lovely, the spotty mask, that nice sort of geometric leaf type design, this swirly pattern just here, and then the trees. So these basic pattern masks, they're really, really useful. And as I say, it'll be Friday when I come in to play with them again. We will see what else we can create with these masks on Friday. Hi Karen. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to go off and have some breakfast and get ready for this very busy week, this bizarre week that I've got coming up, and I will check back in with you later in the week. Have a good week.